Now, here to talk about how to deal with your children's fears in the time of disaster is parenting consultant Dr. Ann Corwin. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. What were your first thoughts when there was so much fear and so much chaos going around? As a parenting professional, what came to your mind?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, being a parent myself, my sort of heartfelt thoughts and prayers were going out to the families who were in the middle of this disaster, our newest sort of tragedy here in Southern California. So that was my first thought, that I really wanted to send them my feelings of, wow, that's pretty scary. The other thing I thought to myself is there's really two major things that you want to consider when kids are experiencing a potential tragedy or in the middle of a tragedy. Number one is how they understand safety, their own safety, where they feel safe, who they feel safe with. And number two is really helping them understand the feelings that they're having, which of course is fear. I'm scared. I don't know what to do, Mom and Dad. That kind of thing.
Take us through that. So you have a disaster like this. What's the first kind of conversation, or what kind of cues should you be looking for from your children?
Yeah. Well, of course, it always depends on the age of the child, but let's take a child who's a little bit older, at least an elementary school age child. The first thing that you want to do is have a conversation with them about safety. Where do you feel safe? You always want to go to the place where kids do feel comfort rather than trying to backtrack and make them feel comfortable.
Right.
So where do you feel safe? Do you feel safe in your classroom with your teacher? Yeah, I do. Do you feel safe with Grandma? Do you feel safe at your house, in the backyard, at a familiar park? And who do you feel safe with? So the kids can start to identify where they feel safe. The other thing that's always important for parents to do at any age is to sit down with their kids and say, my number one job as your parent is to keep you safe. From the time you were trying to cross the street and I told you don't go across because the cars might hit you, and so when you're teaching your kids basically how to take care of themselves when they're younger, say, hey, that's my job forever. I'm going to keep you safe. Don't worry. I'm here for you. That's extremely important.
So your number one role, of course, is keeping them safe.
Yeah.
Let's talk about understanding fear. Talking about what fear means.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the way I like to define fear, especially for kids or anyone at any age, is fear really is your body telling you to pay attention. You better do something. There's something going on here, so I better pay attention. The most important thing to remember about fear is that you want to define fear for your kids. What is it? Which is what we just did. Then what to do about it. And then last but not least, how to get rid of it. Because there's three things that happen when we're scared. It's fight, flight, or freeze. Fighting were the families that stayed and tried to protect their homes. That's part of what happens when you're scared. The people, if you flee, if you go away, you're protecting yourself, keeping yourself safe. And the freeze part is I don't really know what to do. And that's where we get into trouble with children hanging on to the fear for too long. I'm scared. I see the images on TV all the time, Mom and Dad. Is it going to come and get us? So it's helping kids get rid of that freeze part of fear, that I don't have to hold on to it for a long time.
You mentioned the TV images, the internet images, so prolific everywhere.
Yes.
How did that play a role, or how does that play a role in disaster, and what should we do?
Yeah, well, we were bombarded, don't you think, really, as parents, and everyone in our whole community was, which on the one hand is excellent because it keeps us informed. On the other hand, it's important to remember as parents that the two major ways your children learn is through model and repetition. So if you act as though you are scared and don't know what to do about your fear, of course, that will heighten your child's fear as well. And then also, you've got to remember that repetition is how they learn. It's why they want you to read the same book over and over again to them. It's why they want, if they're really good at a sport, it's why they want to do it all the time so they get better. So remember, when these images that are very troubling and scary and hard to understand are seen over and over and over again, it actually heightens your child's fear. Turn off the television. Don't let your kids watch. You can watch and keep informed when the kids are not watching, and then tell them what you see and what are we going to do about it, namely, what am I going to do about it? Keep you safe. I'm your parent. That kind of thing.
You also mentioned taking this opportunity to talk to them about that their actions have consequences, and teaching them a little bit.
Yeah, I think that we can all be better stewards of our community, and we should start with children very, very young. Obviously, the obvious things, don't play with matches.
Right.
If you know anyone who is playing with matches, tell them, hey, don't do that. Pay attention, be an observer. If you see some dry sticks around your property, go throw it in the trash, do that kind of thing. Get to know the local firemen, firewomen in your area. Find out where the fire station is, go and talk to them. Get reassured about their job and tell them what a great job they've done, so that we become very involved in protecting our community, not only ourselves individually, and helping kids see how they can do that.
Great advice, as always. Thank you so much.